took a bath. That's all.
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Notice of this meeting has been provided to the public in accordance with the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act by publication in the South Jersey Times and the Elmer Times newspaper circulated in Salem County, and by posting the notice in the Salem County Clerk's Office and the Improvement Authority offices. Copy of the board minutes and video of this meeting will be posted on the website SCIANJ.com. Please join me in the flag salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Susan Bessman.
Here.
Ronald Howard.
Here.
Louis Snyder.
Here.
Peter Bordeaux.
Here.
And Robert Whitfield.
Here. Okay, tab one, we have minutes of the regular meeting of April 10th. Take a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And the executive session of April 10th.
I move we approve the executive session minutes of April 10th.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Tab 2. With division managers reports. Linda, you're up.
Good evening, everyone. I've gone to the dark side. How many pages is my report now? Bad. 4 pages.
Not even know
But
what
you
I
can
read.
read it. It has good font.
I was admiring that.
Were you?
Yeah, I was
Okay.
too.
Okay, so I'm going to try really hard not to go to 5 pages, but it's getting really close. It's tight there. Too much going on. One of the problems with the customer aging report, number 2, is that by the time we have the meeting, a lot of these balances are paid because, okay, so I just want you guys to know that we call and a lot of times they're like, oh yeah, I forgot, and they send it right in. On that number 2, really the only one that we seem to be having an issue with is bull waste. Bull waste is a little hard to get a hold of, and they're just a little hard to pay. But pretty much everyone else is pretty much in compliance.
Are you still delivering? Are they still
Oh,
your
yeah.
phone? Okay.
Yep.
Oh, so he paid $9,900.
Yeah, he just waits forever to pay. And I wanted you to know too that on the charts, I updated everything, so 2013 is all 100% accurate to the actual amount that was spent. We don't do that every month because it's approximate, because the bills are not in time for me to be able to update each time. So just look at 2013 and know that the first month of 2014 is completely accurate. And then I'll go for 3 or 4 months and just put an approximate estimate in there on some of the costs, because the bills, it takes, that much time for the bills to come in and for us to pay them. Any questions about the division manager's report or the charts?
Yes, on number 4, the horizontal expansion,
Mm-hmm.
the last sentence is, no customer got stuck this past week. Does it happen a lot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Only when we have a lot of rain.
When we have 5+ inches of rain,
Well, no.
yeah.
No
Yeah, so
customer
we-
got stuck with the heavy rain.
It's because of the rain, yeah. Nobody gets stuck because of the rain. Usually we have customers get stuck, we pull them out. That's not a problem. Should have left that out. But I was happy about that. That was a plus.
Yeah, it's a little more.
Okay.
I have a
Yes.
query. When delinquent accounts,
Back
is
to
there
number 2.
Yeah, we'll go back to do you have a ceiling on if it's 90 days and somebody owes us 10,000, are we still allowing them to continue to bring stuff? Is there a point where we say, look, we no longer accept anything until you get squared away?
We've had a couple of instances at the 91 to over 120 where they haven't paid, and I said, we're going to cut you off if you don't get it in here today.
Okay,
It
so
doesn't
it's
happen
kind of,
often. They only do it once.
so you're managing that. It's not an
Oh, yeah.
automatic thing, you're just managing
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Okay.
When the customer aging reports run every month, I look over it and I mark everybody. I give to Sarah. Sarah calls each one of those that I've marked, sends a letter, and by the time we have the meeting, half of them are already taken care of. Yeah. It's
It's
just,
one-
I wanted to bring Bullways to your attention because he has a large account, he's a large hauler, he's a, big customer of ours, but he doesn't manage his account well. And he's been talked to, I'm sorry, several times.
I'd be concerned that we get somebody who owes us $20,000 and they're still rolling up the bill, and then finally they go belly up and we're
Yeah,
after them.
yeah, I know what you're saying.
And interest accrues after 30
Oh,
days?
he's paying
45.
major,
We have that
And
collection
he's been told that,
policy
too.
that escalates the issue from, if Melinda and Sarah aren't getting anywhere, we've had the opportunity with at least one of our customers to pull them in for a meeting, resolve the issue.
We have a progression.
If it's necessary, then it goes to
Progressive
off and-
collection.
progressive collections to the solicitor, who will then handle it from a regular process. That's how Corbett got into that, yes.
Events.
Mhm.
Yeah, the hazardous,
Which number is that? Oh,
it's beyond 8.
okay. Yes.
That was, looks like a nice day for
You know what,
collecting waste.
because we have 4 events and they're spread out throughout the county now, we're really not getting a bigger participation or a bigger volume, it's just spread out over 4 events. It's average.
Yeah.
That's about right, yeah. Nothing unusual,
Well, it's
nice
good to have them
day.
spread out.
What's that?
It's good to have them spread out
Yeah.
throughout the county.
So we're not increasing the volume that we're bringing in or the participation, it's just spread out over the, we get a lot of Pennsville people to come to that event too, and I tell each one of them, we have one in Pennsville in June, they go, yeah, I know, we're not gonna be there, and that's okay, you can go to anyone you want. Yep,
Do that to sign in?
no. No, if I don't know them, and they don't look like a Salem County resident, I'll ask for their ID.
What's the look?
You know the look. A lot of them are repeat people, so, or they come to the document training event, so, I already know them, they're familiar.
And one last item, on the driver's safety days, I hear it was because of homemade cake that more people.
I'm
stopped.
sure that's the reason, 100%, you got that right.
Very nice, thank you.
Mhm,
Any
Thank
other
you.
questions of the report?
Yeah, the topo, we received an invoice from Frainger. How's that looking to what we were looking at?
We're reviewing it now.
You're reviewing it?
Yeah, 16,000
Yeah.
with the aerial.
Thank you.
Mhm. Thank you.
And Sickles is still billing out his topo.
That was for the
Yes.
cleanup work that he did. Yeah.
Yes, well, I said topo on the bill. Line mow is
You
just
got it.
gonna have the report for the engineers. Any questions on the report?
Not here?
No, the report's in the packet.
He's not here.
No, it's always solid waste. Okay, well, okay, we have the engineer's report of dated April 30th. That's the one. Any comments? There being, we have 2 reports now, Melinda's report and the engineer's report. If there's no objection, we'll have them recorded, accepted and recorded in minutes. Hearing none, they are.
Make a motion. Accept the reports.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have the bills for the solid waste authority, or solid waste division. Take a motion for that.
I'll make a motion.
For a second? Second. Any discussion? This is, we have it by check and by electronic. Right, all together? No questions?
What resolution number is that?
We're gonna be 44. You can bring in the dollar amount.
Yeah, I thought you'd have to say the dollar amount on that.
Thanks for reminding me of it. Okay, The bills for the Improvement Authority this month total $1,023,966.79 by check. And bills in the amount of $184,173.20 are approved for electronic and no manual checks. And it's high because of the cell 9 and the leachate tank closing out. And we have the motion. We're still okay with the motion, Pete?
Yeah.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Those progress reports, or is that all, that's on
Yeah, we included the progress reports behind, before the bills, just for cell number 9 for the 2 meetings that were held during the month of April, as well as the 2 progress meetings for the reach out tank as well. That we can see, what the status is from the engineer's agenda.
So we can go down to solid waste committee for that, or either covered there also.
Yeah, we'll do it in my report.
We don't have to accept them, then,
No, there are more meetings.
FYI, so.
Debbie, doesn't the engineer usually attend our meetings?
Only as required. And this one not required.
We have his report. Economic Development Division, tab 3.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My written report is in front of you, and one of the updates is I attended the Olman's Township Planning Board meeting, spoke on behalf of SCIA supporting the J.E. Berkowitz expansion project. Planning Board with a unanimous vote approved it. So groundbreaking is tentatively scheduled for June of this year, 2014. So I'm still waiting on the comments on the strategic plan.
Yes, you are. Thank you.
How about Malik and Whole Foods? Are they doing an extension?
Yeah, they're almost complete with their expansion.
Do you know when that's going to be? They're going to be complete?
No, not exactly.
They wanted to be done by the fall.
By the fall. yeah.
Okay, we can check, see how it's progressing.
Where's the location and the time of the meeting on Saturday, because I'd like to attend.
What meeting is that, Pete?
The chairman said that there's going to be an economic development meeting on May 10th, which would be Saturday.
I have not received any correspondence.
You'll be
Mr.
the
Chairman.
first to know, Pete.
What's that?
You'll be the first to know.
Well, that's in a couple days.
Well, it's not ready yet.
Well, you said it was going to be the 10th, and then we went.
It's going to be around the 10th. It'll
Excuse
be the
me,
next
we
meeting.
went a month now. When is this going to happen?
We went a couple months. It's not ready yet.
Well, can you give us a projection on when the next meeting's going to be?
The next meeting will be June 12th. Is there any
Any
further
questions on the
questions
report?
about the report? Hearing none, I'll have the report received and recorded.
Mr. Chairman, if you need help moving this forward, let us know, because there is 5 members on this board. And I don't know what the holdup is, but we're not going to be able to move forward.
It's going to be an accurate depiction of the strategic plan.
We're not going to be able to move forward with any grant funding or our work unless that's been adopted and still has to go through first.
Okay, thanks.
So if you need some help, let us know.
Will do. You'll be the first to know.
June 12th.
Is our next meeting.
When's the next economic meeting, is what I'm asking you.
Economic, what meeting?
This meeting that you're going to have to straighten out the plan that's not
Well,
accurate.
it's still being worked on. It's not ready yet. Okay. I'll let
Who's
you know.
working on it?
I am.
I am freeholders.
And how about our economic development?
Well, we work through Debbie.
My chance to meet with him was squashed, so I couldn't meet.
Debbie, do you know what the coordination of all this is, so we have all the parties together?
She will get a Word document that has we got the Word document in the last couple weeks.
Well, I'm getting impatient, and when I get impatient, things don't go good, so I've got to move it forward.
Calm down.
All right.
Take something. Economic development bills.
Make motion to approve.
Motion to approve, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
$4,563.56.
Now, 4,556, whatever that was. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have the nursing home division.
Did we do the report for him?
Yes.
I don't know if we
There
did.
was no
We
objection.
accepted it with no objection. Can we do
Okay.
this? Bill?
Well, yes, we can. On the nursing home division, there's a resolution for the bills. And let Debbie, what can you talk about? You can, Debbie?
Yeah, I won't talk about the legal action that we'll take later on in the new business, but in question in regards to the breakdown of the Medicaid remittance devices, Lancaster Group went back to the August 15th, 2008 transaction date, which was the sales date between the County Salem and the SCIA. And the original claim for SKG of $158,349.14 is broken out to the County of Salem at $6,614.59 and $151,734.55 to the improvement fund. Okay. Original calculation which showed that it was about a 50-50 split was based on the 2009 license transfer date. But going back to the legal agreements, it was August of 2008. My memo, which is an attorney-client privilege memo to Jean, is included in the packet, so you can see how the Lancaster Group did their calculations, and then how that August of 2008, which was an entire month for reconciliation, was split in half because of the transfer date of August 15th. The 1st through the 15th was to the county, the 15th through the 30th was us. But even though they remit every 2 weeks, when they do an audit adjustment, it's only by month, so we split it.
I have a question. Why are we still paying Chelsea, what are we still paying him for at this point?
Nursing home.
Here's a question we have.
Why is,
Why are we still paying Chelsea?
Yeah,
That bill, I believe,
there's two different bills.
it says nursing home, it's out of the nursing home.
They're over $1,000.
was when there was a transfer of the files over to Jean.
Is there an acceptance fee?
Oh my God.
$1,000 to transfer files?
They were charges to the Superior Court, SKG Realty, which is $200.
There was a charge to file the answer. Because he filed the answer as a counterclaim, a third-party complaint. I did not do that, so that might be part of it.
And then there's one for $862.50 for April 10th. Which is one of the reasons why I wanted to kind of get this cleared up, because this was ridiculous that we're spending money when we didn't have to.
Yeah, the one that we've got
200 probably.
is the $200 is
Yeah.
on it. That's the $200 that's on this bill list.
Well, there's 862 also.
Right,
I
the
think that's what the press
862.50.
was about.
That's the response. That's the response.
Okay, we have a resolution to approve bills totaling for the nursing home $160,127.89.
So moved.
So moved, second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'm gonna skip the,
Resolution 46 on this one.
we're going to skip, we're going to shift to the audit. And we're going to have Mr. Allison explain the audit, go over the audit. And tell us all about it
Okay.
before we do the resolution.
As you're well aware, we had the exit conference on April 24th, with Sue, Bob, and Debbie, and one of my supervising accountant, was some of her personnel. And we discussed the audit at length, and
I'll sit over here, that's your table.
discussed the audit at length, and went over a few items. And what I'm going to do, Bob, is just highlight how you did for the year, and also discuss the more important items, as we went over that day also. First of all, it's the second year in a row that you have no recommendations. 2012 we had no recommendations. We do what's called an exit conference report, which basically we list items that are findings, recommendations, there wasn't any. And the other items we call discussion items only, which is immaterial items and items you just bring to your attention. And we have 4 or 5 items on that exit conference report. And I would have to say there's a big difference between, not that I want to resurrect the past, June 30, 2010, when we had a lot of recommendations. And that was all because of the nursing home coming in and the economic development and also the landfill division. That was the first full year. And just a lot of problems to work out, and that's materialized with less problems, a lot less problems than less than. In fact, I don't have any problems now than keeping track of your surplus. On a good note, your revenues were up in the landfill division by $1 million, and that's because your tons increased 2012 to 2013. Positive side. And also residual items, as far as revenues and expenses in the nursing home, that's also on the positive side. So you actually end up with a bump in the nursing home as far as revenue over expenses. And the last one, the economic development division, of course we don't have too much revenue on there. Right, basically $20,000 a year from the county for administrative costs for debt service and other miscellaneous revenues coming in. So we had, again, we're relying on surplus to balance that budget. So overall, the surplus, you still have a healthy surplus. With that said, roughly $6,978,000. 3 years ago, at the end of 11, we had roughly $11 million in round numbers, but that's obviously went down about $5 million because of the leachate tank, cell number 8, just different equipment that's necessary to buy. So that has gone down. You use surplus to fund your capital items. And one thing we brought up, with that said, the overall surplus is, I say surplus, we can use another term because of gap reporting, so forth, everyone understands that word, surplus. We had roughly $6,978,000 in surplus at 12/31/13, of which $118,000 was the economic development division, the rest of it being the landfill division. We have a capital projects in 2014 reflecting roughly a little round number $7 million. $5 million of that is for landfill number cell number 9. And we categorize that as other sources because we weren't sure whether you would borrow, whether you would use your surplus. Keep in mind, we have projects budgeted $7 million. We want to maintain our surplus. You can see it's going down $5 million in 3 years. So if we're going to use all surplus to do that $7 million that you've listed, not that you're going to do all, but you have as a plan, then we would not be in good shape by somewhere in 2015. So next year. So I would think that you want to consider how you want to fund landfills cell number 9. Obviously, that contract's been let and awarded. I think it's $4,056,000. $6,000. So that's something to really consider. The other item is, as I said, the economic development division has roughly $118,000 in surplus at 12/31/13. We used a good majority of that to balance the 2014 budget. So starting in 2015, there's going to be very little available to do an economic development budget for the year 2015. So coming away from the audit report, you still have a healthy surplus, but they're the 2 big items that you have to consider. I would say this year or sometime very quickly in the near future, how you really fund that project until some time. So that was the, I think, the major items. I mean, we went over a lot of the detailed items, but I think they were the major items that you want to address or discuss tonight, or make you aware of, the rest of the board aware of other personnel.
Yes, thank you. Any questions of the audit report? Yes.
Actually. All right, so, wrap my brain around this.
Right.
There's $5 or $6 million, and we're going to use about $5 million between the cell and whatever, and you're saying that if we as pay-as-you-go type thing, we would be at a surplus of less than a couple $1 million is.
Well, yeah, if you have your surplus, round numbers now is like 6,000,008, round numbers. And you have capital projects that you put in your capital plan, or not actual appropriations, but a plan. 2014 had roughly, again, round numbers, $7 million, of which $5 million was set aside for engineering fees and, to work on some number 9.
Any requirement that there's a certain dollar amount we have, some percentage of our budget that we have to have in surplus? Any
No,
state requirement?
not in authorities. You want to maintain a decent amount of surplus in your case because you're landfill, just like a business. You got to maintain a certain amount of surplus for operations and to pay your bills. And you want to have some at the end of the year. You want to try and put monies aside for various purposes, being capital purposes, for these various cells when you have to refurbish or build another one. You were able to do that as a utility authority years ago. Now you can see that we went from $11 million down to $6,000,008 in 3 years. We generated on a budgetary basis, on the plus side in the landfill division, I'm not talking about GAAP and budget, revenues and expenses, we generated $856,000 in profit. Okay? If we're going to generate that each year, now how are you going to replenish that $7 million if you're going to spend $7 million in 14? That's.
But at the same time, those 2 or 3 years, we had declining revenue for several years there.
Yes.
All right. So we're on the upswing on that.
Right.
Plus we're increasing.
So if I start borrowing money to finance things, that costs money too. You're paying that back years from now. So I'm
You're
just not a
spreading
big
it out
fan
over a
of.
few years though.
Huh?
You're spreading it out over a
Over
few
a few
years.
years.
I don't think we're going to be able to do it out of surplus for a while.
Well, you stop thinking, let's put it in simple terms, look, if you're going to spend the $7 million, and our revenues are up in 13, hopefully they stay that way in 14, and we generate $856,000 plus side on a budgetary basis. We do that if we start out with $6,000,008, we spend $7 million, how can you do that? You're going to generate $856,000 profit at the end of 14. That's what we're looking at, just in numbers now to next year.
What's a good amount you think we should always have in surplus?
Surplus, I would say as a landfill division, anywhere from $2.5 to $5 million. Because when you buy equipment, it's expensive. It's expensive operation. Just the nature of it. Just not Sarah County.
And Dave, what has been our up and down cycle on our surplus?
Easy, I went back and looked, of course, we had all the reports going back a number of years ago, but I went back to 2000, and we used to put aside, we had an unrestricted surplus, it was about $2.5 million, that we used to put aside monies in construction. I think the most expensive cell I remember was like almost $2 million, $1,989,000, there was one for $2,000,001. I'm going back before.
Seven.
So you're putting money aside for construction, then again, you want to have an unrestricted surplus to protect yourself for any emergencies or any equipment you have to replace, because the equipment is expensive. Pretty major piece of equipment. So that's the thing you really have to address this year. How you're going to fund that new project.
Debbie, I'd like to congratulate you and your staff on a wonderful job. Another year where you did it report.
Staff worked really hard these last 2 years, and we're starting to see the benefits of that.
Yes, thank you.
And David, his team did a commendable job too, working with everybody.
Yeah.
I think it's working really well.
Yeah, we made great strides over the years. I don't want to resurrect the past, but we did make great strides.
Very good. Thank you. So I have a resolution accepting and acknowledging the audit report.
That's the first resolution in tab fleets, because it's a new business.
What number is that going to be?
47. So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? This will be a roll call probably.
Oh, yes,
Want a roll call on this one?
Yep.
Susan Bestwick,
4.
Ronald Howard,
Yes.
Peter Borho.
Yes.
Louis Schneider,
Yes.
and Robert Wood.
Yes. And we have a resolution accepting internal corrective action plan. guess we can talk about it after the motion.
You want, move for adoption.
And a second?
Second.
You have that also? I stuck mine in the wrong place.
It's right after the one we just did.
I want to get Dave has to leave, so I want to get the audit thing out of the way so we can.
Just a little bit of discussion on this, though. I had talked to Debbie. Oh, yeah, he did. I had asked Debbie that, I was like, this really isn't correct, this isn't a mandatory corrective action, because there were no actions that had to be taken on findings that had to be taken on the audit. So these are internal checks and balances that we're going to do to.
Discussion points.
Yeah, that we're going to incorporate, that she's going to incorporate into as a business practice, so that the few recommendations don't happen, and we'll just come up with new ones. But these are not mandatory, but Debbie felt that it was important that we put them in resolution form, but it's not mandatory.
We've done that since 2011, more for clarity and documentation purposes, so everybody's clear doing their staff what we're doing, even about the discussion items, so they don't, let's say, get ignored and turn into a finding and recommendation if they're not correctly following it.
There's just a couple minor ones. Questions about them, or you want to discuss them anymore? More than what's there?
I think they're pretty self-explanatory, but just to touch on a few things, the sale of the assets not being advertised. That's when we put the surplus equipment on Gov Deals. We need to do a public notice with every single sale that we do. So we will commence doing that with our next opportunity. The purchase orders and the encumbrances, those were what we call the closure encumbrances for the Medco prescription bills. They were taken out of our accounts automatically in the way that that contract was set up with Medco. We no longer have Medco as a supplier, so that will not occur any longer. And as you see, we do get a spreadsheet with all of the EFT payments on it that go out of our funds electronically.
The corrective action, where the first one says executive director and purchasing agent, is that two people or is that?
Separate person. Your purchasing agent is Michelle
I thought you were.
on the QPA.
Qualified purchasing agent is not the purchasing agent.
Yep. And I was talking about number 5. The defined contribution plan resolution is in your packet for adoption at this meeting, so that will close out that discussion item. And the miscellaneous revenue, there is a field within our accounting system when we post miscellaneous revenue for more descriptive notation to be made there. We have traditionally not utilized that field, but we will commence using it. We understand now how easy it makes the auditor's life when you do that. We spend less time on our property having to look at actual checks that get deposited in miscellaneous revenue.
Okay. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Is there? Oh, this is by resolution. Take a roll call. All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call. Opposed? Yes. Finished.
That was 40 minutes.
Okay, we'll standing committee reports. And you're all set whenever you want to, Dave.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
You're welcome to stay, but I know you have another meeting.
Can I just say one thing about, I know this will be my last time I can present the audit report, I'll be retiring in the summertime, so I just want to thank you for all the business, getting around a lot of years, I really appreciate that.
Congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you very much.
We're going to miss you.
And lots of luck, everyone here also.
And a lot of people are going to miss you.
Henry's going to.
Yes, Henry Ludwigson will lead the big wetlands. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and enjoy your
Thanks,
retirement.
Dave.
Thanks. Thank you.
Enjoy it.
Standing committee, executive committee.
Certainly, the topic of conversation during the last executive meeting that all three of us were together, we were talking about the lack of surplus, the expenditures that we're planning on making and the problems that we're going to have with refunding it, whether we're going to be financing. Also with the Economic Development Division, what we're going to do with that. We have been in discussion with the county about, joining forces so that we're not duplicating efforts. It's one of the reasons why the strategic plan is not completed is that we're actively soliciting comments by the freeholders. Julie's, working on those. We're going to put those all together. Hopefully, we're going to be able to sit down with the county so we can see what economic development is going to look like for the Improvement Authority in the future. It's unfortunate, but there's not going to be money to fund it for sure. So those were some of the discussions. Also, we were extremely happy about the exit, the audit exit, and we talked quite a bit about that and moving forward with that. So, the Improvement Authority has a lot of sticks in the fire, let's say, and we're kind of whittling away at some of the issues that we've had in the past, and it's certainly been a huge effort on Debbie and the entire board over the last couple of years to really work on that. So that was the big discussion point that we were, that we talked about in the executive committee. What is the Improvement Authority going to look like in the next couple of years, and some of the finances.
A comment on Ms. Beswick. Over the years, our interaction with the Freeholder Board hasn't been very successful because we call, we send them emails, and we send them faxes, and we hand deliver stuff, and we're getting no responses. I attended the Freeholder meeting last night, and a vendor came in that plows and salts for the county, and she was polite, but she said, I'm calling, I'm emailing, I'm faxing, and I'm not getting any response. So what I don't want to hear is I don't want to hear you come back here and tell us, well, I'm waiting on the freeholders, because there's a problem there. And we have to get this adopted if we're going to move forward with our economic development plans. So please don't come back and say, oh, well, I need freeholders to get back to me, because it's historically, that's what's happening. And if we have to move, get a consensus.
We're working closely with them.
I think we've seen some, real progress. And I take what you're saying, I understand what you're saying, and I saw it firsthand.
I seen it last night at the freeholder
Right,
meeting.
so I saw it firsthand, but I have to say, the county has been pretty responsive to everything that we've asked. And we cannot work as separate entities. We absolutely can't.
Good.
We have to work together. So, I'm really excited that we've gotten this nursing home behind us. And I think that was the first real step that we saw with that. And Pete, I agree with you, absolutely. We can't be antagonistic. We have to work together.
Yep.
And I know that Freeholder Director Acton agrees with that as well. And that's why they really require somebody to be here, which, we certainly appreciate. And you can kind of know where we're coming from with some of our money situations.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Any questions on the executive committee report? Personnel committee.
We had two candidates for scale master's job out there, but after they came in, they decided they want more money, so.
We're full-time.
Yeah. So they elected not to take positions, so we're still working on hiring some more. I think we almost have one, we're still working on the second one. On the policy, we worked on the policies again, we made some more changes. We sent that out to everybody. Hope everybody can get a chance to look them over and any changes or suggestions.
No,
Not from Sickly Council.
no.
All right, so it looks like we look to approve that tonight. And there were really two main things we worked on.
Very good. Any personnel committee questions? I have a solid waste committee, Mr. Boros.
Again, the rain has been a challenge. Hopefully we're going to get over that hump soon. We had a record rainfall a couple weeks ago. It's affecting the projects that we have, but we're staying on top of the monitoring of the leachate tank and the cell. And we're going to have to decide on issues on extensions if needed. But from what we're seeing, we want to stick close to the schedule that we have so we get it completed. Leachate tanks, got issues with the road to it that we're trying to resolve. And then Melinda did a wonderful job fulfilling all the other information. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any solid waste questions? Innovation and technology.
Not
We
much
had a
to-
meeting.
Not much to report. Debbie met with the county college and about a digital phone system. They're exchanging information. You know, there's another meeting planned in the near future.
Probably as soon as the school year ends is what they want.
Okay, without objection, I'll have the committee reports received and filed. Hearing none, they are so received and filed. That's the executive director's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We do have my executive director's report. It was amended today. I don't know if the one that's in your file is amended. I added some information that occurred, actually after I finished it on Friday, given some information that transpired yesterday. Basically, we've talked about the nursing home and solid waste. The only thing I wanted to mention and build off what Pete said is you do have in your packet a request for the 59-day extension from TKT, who is a leachate tank contractor. That will put them into the last week of May to complete that project.
That's calendar date.
It is calendar day. And it is, as long as we don't have another act of God 5-inch rainfall, we may make that date. The contractor did advise that they're reserving the right to come back with a further request for extension if they do have any more of those rain delays, because obviously, as you know, 1 day of rain lost ends up with 3 to 4 days of lost work. They did work the next day. Most of that work was pumping out the water that had run. But they are pretty much done filling that tank, testing it. We have not drained it yet, and they're still doing the manhole connections and piping connections. They've done a great job in curtailing the amount of time that a road has been closed. It was originally projected to be a 3-day closure of the road, and they were able to complete that work in 1 day. So that was very, very good of them. The contractor and engineer are working to evaluate the soil compaction issue on the leachate roadway. There's some differences of opinion on whether or not the soils can be compacted to the standard that we need it to be, or whether we need to put more stone in that area back there. Horizontal expansion, Pearson is doing a great job. Again, they were impacted by that rain delay. Our basin filled up real quickly. We saw how much rain we could actually hold in the new basin. Not a good event, so they've been slopping around out in the mud a little bit.
They took a lot of soil out.
We
That's the
do
pile
have
out front.
a tremendous amount of soil. When they did the excavation and basically scraping of the soil, the original plans showed that we had a 6-inch layer of topsoil and a 12-inch layer of clay. We actually have a 12-inch layer of topsoil and a 6-inch layer of clay. Okay. A little bit of a problem with that, and the reason that you see this material up front as the topsoil is in anticipation of needing that clay on site for cell number 9, we now have a shortfall further of clay. We ourselves have used some of our own clay stockpile that had been set aside on the top of cells 1 through 7. So that had depleted some of the clay that had been available for this project. But we have an abundance of topsoil and a shortage of clay, about 22,000 cubic yards. We have evaluated whether or not we could pull that material off of property that we currently own, basically across the street from our station. The 2 sites that we looked at are both wetland areas, which would further exacerbate our wetland mitigation project and be quite costly. So we do not have any indigenous material that we're readily able today to excavate from the site. We have gone to Quinton Sand and Gravel for alternative pricing for that 22,000 cubic yards, and we've gone back to Pearson and we're waiting to get that information. But I will advise the board, there is very likely going to be a change order coming on this project one way or another, and it is probably well over $100,000 for that material.
Did they core the site, the engineers, before they started to find out what the soil
Alema
was?
is going back to see what they cored. We don't believe they cored out in the area of the basin. And we're also looking to determine whether or not anything was cored when we did Selly, although it's a very different, geographic area there.
Check errors and omissions.
We're also dealing with,
It's a lot, you know.
You gotta know
One
what's
of the
down there.
letters says 31,000 cubic yards.
as of the last meeting, which we just had May 1st, it's, I think that was 22,000. The other issue that Pearson has been dealing with is some surface water runoff from the forested area across Mallory Station Road. There is a culvert that had been put in, presumably by the township, that drains the water from that uplands wooded area into the front portion of our site, which was never a problem, except now that's where our basin is located. In talking with the engineer, Lynn and we went out with the engineers and the county road department, and talked to the township as well. The calculation for that water flow had not been taken into account when the basin was designed by NEMA. They only had aerial footage up to Mallory Station Road. We've decided that we're going to do some trenching and some ditch clean out there to determine if we can't get that water to flow in an appropriate location other than to our basin. One of the concerns besides the volume of water that would go to the basin is there's a farm field up, and we have to monitor that water as it leaves our basin, and we don't want to be accused of polluting the water with pesticides that might just be flowing through our site. So we're going to try and keep it out of our site. On the regulatory end, I did receive an email from Donna Summers from DEP. She has completed the draft ACO agreement and is now in her supervisor's hands. It should be with us within the next 2 weeks. She said it is going to be tight for us to get this done before June. And she did provide 2 more comments on our SET proposal, so I can't wait to get this done so they stop coming out. We will conduct a tour of the St. Community College gas to gas facility on May 15th. If any of the board members want to go along on that tour, you're more than welcome to join us. It's a great facility. We go in about once a year just to do a checkup from the bond perspective, because it's a facility, we need to see what they're doing. And they've identified to us that they're going to do some layout changes in that building as well, so they want us to look at that. We did meet.
When will that be?
That is
May
May
15th.
Yeah.
You'll let us know.
I'll send it out for the we did meet yesterday with Atlantic City Electric and Woodlands Township to discuss what needs to be done to repower that Camp Pedrick Town site. The new pole has been set, courtesy of Woodlands Township, and Atlantic Electric will be waiting on a letter to identify who the recipient of the billing will go to. We have a good understanding now of how the metering occurs at that site. There is one master meter, and all of the other buildings are sub-meters, so they do receive a discounted electric rate for the site, which was probably set up at the time the Army set that site up. But there's obviously some other infrastructure type concerns and issues. They have been out, Atlantic Electric has been out at the request of the Army Corps of Engineers to evaluate what it would cost to actually run power just to the Army Corps of Engineers. That project's about $40,000 just for that one customer. So pretty big price tag. As Lou reported, we did meet on April 23rd with the phone system, and it looks very promising. It looks like we may have a better and more quality system by working with the community college and alleviate some of Melinda's concerns out here relative to the Verizon line, which every time it rains seems to be underwater, and we can't seem to get it fixed. We've talked about the audit issue, so we need to discuss that any further. You do have a resolution in your packet, as Ron had indicated, for a candidate for the Scoutmaster. We did do some salary comparisons to other entities that have scales, and of course we're low. Has the expectation of why the people outside of our county think, things are a lot different than what they really are.
And they're still interested, that person?
This person is still interested. This person happens to be retired. It's not that he doesn't care about money, he's actually looking to keep himself busy.
Retired state police.
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
This person was a Carney's Point scale master, so he worked on 295 scales. Sick time policy is being requested to be changed. I did have an opportunity today to check the state's website and determine if there's any updated information on this financial disclosure information, and none is there yet. You have a list of dates of some upcoming events, and I'll be happy to send you the appointment for the May 15th meeting. Any questions?
And Debbie, on the tarps, we lost some sandbags in this winter with the snowfall, but I felt better when I heard Cumberland County lost half their tarp. So now I feel confident the job we had was good. Look what happened in Cumberland County with the winds. And I think Gloucester County have trouble too.
We initially, I think, called or had the engineers check to see if anybody else had experienced damage from that same snowstorm, and originally had been told no, which made us think that our anchoring system had failed.
Right.
But at our last meeting, all of the landfills had trouble with that snowfall period and some significant damage. And Gloucester County, that uses a very different anchor trenching system that we have, really had some significant damage to their anchors in their trenches as well. Everybody lost sandbags, everybody lost ropes, and that, storm had.
So it appeared that we got a good job, because when you lost a little small.
We'd still like to
amount
find
of
a way
bags.
not to have.
Oh, yeah.
Any losses.
But it's extreme weather we've had over the last 2 years.
And we're working to change that before winter.
We'll cut the cross
See that in the
ties.
reports. Okay, is there any, without objection, I'll have the executive director's report received and filed. Hearing none, received and filed. Unfinished business, tab 7. Thank you, Dave. I have the Golden Rehabilitation Nursing Center. You want to talk about anything you've done?
Give you an update. We have, I did hear from Michael Mulligan this afternoon that at last night's freeholder meeting, they did approve a settlement with us for the amount of the
Good.
so that as soon as we get the release prepared and signed, that will resolve the litigation. I'll prepare a stipulation of dismissal for all parties and file it with the court.
Very good, thank you, thank you. Thank you.
Well,
Did a lot with that.
thanks. Freeholders.
Did you hear that?
Sorry.
We're talking about the nursing home litigation. I did hear from Michael Mulligan this afternoon that the freeholders did approve a settlement with the improvement authority for the amount we demanded.
Great.
Based on the breakdown. So the next step is Michael and I will agree upon a release. The county will sign, and then here tonight, you're going to vote on the resolution to settle the case with the plaintiff, SCIANJ. So everything will be resolved very soon. The next step after all the releases are signed is to just prepare a stipulation of dismissal and have that filed with the court.
Great.
And the
Now-
checks got together?
Well, that's the question. Are we going to be billing the county, or are they?
Send it
The
to
county, well, we prepared a check to send to SKG
For the full amount.
for the full amount, so the county will send us a check for the $6,000, whatever that.
Or transfer the fund or whatever.
And that was approved last night?
That's my understanding.
Good, thank you.
Debbie, who are we looking for to get a guarantee that this isn't going to come back anymore? The vote?
Well, yeah.
Well, there's still that time period that they've
Yeah, there's
discussed in
still
the past
some-
that
Did have
that wasn't in the audit.
A lengthy discussion with the Lancaster Group about how this whole process continues to work, even in the absence of a sale. And, he said there's no 100% guarantee. But what traditionally happens in a sale like this, and they have seen it happen with Mercer, they've seen it happen with Gloucester or Cumberland County, who transferred it, is there's a 3-year window after the date of sale that you're pretty much joined at the hips for any of these transactions to go back and forth. Some may go to your favor, some may go to their favor. Cumberland is still dealing with this relative to their recipient. He said, so by June of this year, we should assume that things have been resolved. He said, we're now on a calendar year basis. He said, I wouldn't count your chickens until December of this year, but with the exception of that January 1st of 2011 to May 31st of 2011 period, the rest of that time period should be closed out. He also doesn't believe, again, 100% guarantee, that that 6-month period should be a concern for us, because Medicaid has now changed the way in which they audit their programs and fund these plans. It was changed in 2012 after our sale. So he does not think, and has not seen them go back to any facility in the 2011 time period, but, no guarantees on my part. But let's put it this way. My chapter on the nursing home is being boxed up and put into the archives.
Very nice. It's good to get that out of the way. And do you have anything on the Manikin Township solid waste disposal? Did that get worked out?
Yes, I sent a memo to the board just explaining what the proposed contract is and how it differs from last year's contract and the form contract that the Improvement Authority provides to the vendors. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but I do recommend that you do sign the one that we agreed, that I worked out with
Bill Horn.
Bill Horn, right, with the answer.
Is that up?
That's not up in here. That would be just a piece. And just so the board is fully aware, that is your one contract with any municipality that is different from all your other boilerplate contracts. When you, in October, I think, adopted tipping fees, you adopted a boilerplate contract. So this is the one, even though you're private, that's $10. Just advising you.
It is substantially the same as the one you entered into with Manson last year, though.
Right.
With a few minor changes.
Any other unfinished business?
Townway? Anyone in there?
Alderman's, we had the proposal last month. I don't think there's anything more on the Alderman's proposal, is there?
I think they would
Or is it another proposal?
expect some kind of a response from the board as to what, the reaction is relative to that. I mean, we did receive a letter saying that it was time sensitive, I think Jim sent that on from the attorney.
Yeah, I don't see this board doing anything with it, but I could take a motion, entertain a motion for something if someone has a feeling that.
I don't think our direction is, we don't
Yeah,
know where we're going, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, to get involved,
Yeah, and I don't know how much economic development this authority will be doing in a short period of time.
Would you indulge me for 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate that. I know how that works. Why did we come here first, right? We came to you for the experience. We came to you because you know this from local government, that if I go to the lowest bidder, if I sell this property, it's not going to work for the college. It is existing, let's assume for argument's sake, and I have the 10 years worth of BRAC project that says it's a clean site, so there's not a liability that's attached to this. We've done some due diligence on the electric. We put in $10,000 for the electric pole to make this work again. I'm looking, this is a temporary situation. I'm looking for your experience and the ability for you to make decisions to Atlantic Electric, who says, just tell me someone's going to be responsible for it and we'll turn the power back on. You don't even have to own the property. So there's where we're getting from the vendors that want to participate in this project. I've heard from my solicitor that if the issue is, we may not be in the development business per se. Mind you, this is all buildings. We're just talking leasing and giving property to the college. My solicitor says, fine, tell them we'll take it back in 3 years. I'm only looking for, to get around DEP, to get something going so that we can do this. I'm not trying to unload something on the Improvement Authority. There were great ideas discussed at the Atlantic Electric. Debbie mentioned this, and thank you, by the way, for this yesterday. We'll put a substation there. No one wants a substation in their backyard. We've got this property. We've got the infrastructure for power. We'll put it back by the sewer plant. I try to do that with a developer. I'm not going to be able to do that. If you own the property, these are things I'm putting faith that you're going to do what's good for the college, for the township. This is, I'm not trying to I just need the help to get past this where we are right now. If we don't do this, and there was a letter that says time is of the essence, this is going to be a black hole for, name the number of years, 10 years, 12 years, and the college gets nothing. They have to walk away from a lease and leasehold improvements of $600,000. Just can't inhabit it.
What kind of motion are you looking from us?
I
If we
need
were to
your
make a
support.
motion today to,
Own the property for no more than 36 months. We will buy it back to you from $1. In fact, we'd like to be at the table. We'd like to make sure that when we try to develop this, you have the property at what's not the college, which is just everything to the left of that street, for up to 36 months with your expertise to help develop this. We've also run the numbers, Jim, I think you can attest to this. The tenants that exist there now cover electric and sewer. So it's not a, this isn't, but I'm not dropping something on you saying, please, I need a handout.
How quick?
A letter would probably get DEP off our back. Yes, we're involved in this project. That's why our solicitor wrote all of, you and the college and the freeholders to say, please tell me your interest, so that we could write a memorandum of understanding that would allow us to say to Atlantic Electric and to DEP, we're here and we're part of this project.
If I made a motion for our solicitor to sit with your solicitor and then have our solicitor give recommendations on our liability, do we have a month?
Yes, I think I could get that out of DEP. I mean, right now DEP is holding the permit to, or the letter to rescind the permit. That happens, and we have an $800,000 liability that I don't think this project will, in its current state, will handle.
And then we would want
And
information.
it would also say, we will, in no more than 36 months, buy it back for $1. So, I mean, we don't make any money while you're running it or you're doing something with these leases. We make nothing.
So what are we doing with it after we own it? We're putting out money to do something, because you heard the audit, we don't have any economic development money.
I do. You have to, I do hear that, but I'm saying you have to have the expertise to manage a net billing system. Have you billed people before for other electrical things? I don't know how to do that. You have to have the expertise to read or do chemical tests, testing labs. I don't have testing labs. Do you have testing labs at the, I mean, do you know of testing labs for the landfill? I mean, is this not some things that you all have experience in that I don't?
Well, how come that your township isn't doing this?
You want us to be in the development business? Well, if I do it,
Well, see, I
yeah.
kind of ask you the same thing. We're not in the development business.
Well, we're in it, our charter has us as economic development. For the county.
It has to do with financing. But as you can see, we've not done a great deal with economic development.
Well, actually,
You know,
we actually
we-
did.
We did Gateway.
Industrial Park.
You
No,
did
wait. First of all, Gateway, we did financing. We didn't develop that property. Matrix developed the property. And that goes back years and years and years for that. That, and again, you just heard where,
I did. So I did hear that. This is how much the buildings are there. It's not. I'm not talking about a development. We're just going to lease some of these spaces with contacts, perhaps sell off part two for the substation. There's some things we can do like that I think can be done faster in the improvement authority than I can as a township. I'm going to have to go out to lowest bid. I'm going to have to do. I mean, I have to run through all these committees.
so do we. I mean, we have to do all that as well.
But you've done it before better than we do.
All right, well, I want to make a motion, and I'm going to make a motion that our attorney and Debbie sit down with your attorney and a representative from your town, and we need to know what you exactly need from us and what our liabilities are, and how much money we're going to be expected to have to, whether it's managing or...
Right. And I expect the money to stay here with you. I mean, and I'm taking this back as soon as I can. I mean, I know you say, oh, you hear that all the time. It cash flows based on where we're at. Is that correct statement, Jim? If we had those tenants stay there.
If you had tenants stay there,
Mhm.
then you have the expenses to get a
Well,
sewer plant too.
but that covers it. $6,000.
Right, well, that's what you guys are going
Yep.
to get together and give a report to us so we can make an informed decision on helping this situation, because it is a win for the county if that area can get developed, and it's a loss to the county if it goes bad.
Right, and Sue, I've been told, fine, turn it over to a developer from the township standpoint. Then the college loses. I mean, as far as no developer's going to say, I'm going to take this piece and I'm taking the contingent liability of what we're providing for the college. And
And you already did that once and it fell apart, right? Somebody
Yeah,
bought it
yeah.
and it died. So I made a motion, is there a second?
Voting with,
What would each party get together, what would the cost of that be?
How long do you
does your motion have a limit on the cost? Anything? Does it-
We're covering our costs, so we're obviously.
It would just be the cost of our attorney and Debbie and Jen meeting with their people to hear what they want exactly from us and what our liabilities are and how much money it's gonna cost to keep this going for 3 years, and then they're gonna buy it back in 3 years.
Did I not hear the last time you were here that the sewer plant, right?
Mhm.
You had a man that was there and was willing to work.
$30,000 for the year.
Yeah, I thought that 12 was a number outside there. Nobody does that, but $30,000.
Yeah, 30 per year. We've talked to Atlantic Electric, and I'm paraphrasing, again, this is why you would want the due diligence of that. Atlantic Electric runs 2,000 to 3,000 in the winter, of which most of that's heating for the buildings at college and such. So 1,000 of it, take half of that, is my sewer plant. Let's assume that 1,000 is to just run the pump or the blower or the light. So I get 12,000 there and 30, and let's not make it 30, let's make it 40 or 50 just to be safe. You know, no one's going to walk into a deal and say, I have a letter for 30. Like 60,000. The rents are about 55 a month. Now, I'm not saying that those people all stay there, but I also know that we have the ability to bring people to this site. I also have, you have all of the money I have, which is about 60,000, I think, that will fix. I can do improvements, and it's all yours. I think I've shown that by putting up an electric pole for $10,000. It has to stay in this site. So I can, you know, you say, oh, this broke. If it's an improvement, I'm good for 60,000 of it, which is more than, you know, probably the whole amount for that first year. So that's, I mean, that's what we bring to the table.
So you're saying for $50,000 a sewer plant, electric, and a man to run it, we have...
We've gotten those numbers from someone who does it, who DEP endorses, says we like him, we've dealt with him.
And we have rent, you would have rents to cover that expense.
Do we want all those people in there? You decide.
And how long is that?
Wait, so that's 150,000 that you have? No, you have 50,000, so you're talking
50 is a cost
per year.
per year.
For the next 3 years, that's
So
150,000.
you can't rent any of, well, actually, you would cover that cost on the people that are there now, but could you rent any more of this? Could we sell some of the, we sell some of the property to Atlantic Electric or rent it?
Well, who
I
gets the
got
rent,
buildings.
who gets the rent now? The
It
township?
goes, no, technically it goes to the owner of the property. I have a deed in lieu. I have a deed in lieu, a default on taxes, default on a tax agreement, and default on $1 million mortgage. I'm walking away from all of that to make this work as a development.
The tenant that's paying us $5,000 something a month.
Well,
For
there's
six tenants.
it's like 6 or 7 tenants.
Yeah, they're small tenants.
Under the current leases with the current owner right now,
Okay.
Like
the
there's
total
no-
was $5,500.
$5,500.
Right, not counting what he was
That's
supposed to pay the township.
And the current
Okay, that's
owner is
what's
in default?
Yes.
Current owner.
And he's still getting the rent? I mean, isn't-
No, we've asked for letters, but, you know, again, how much money do you want to spend on
Who's
lawyers
getting
to
the
fight? We have issued, you know, certified letters saying we are now eligible to collect the rent, please pay us. Do I want to, how many?
How long has that tenant been there, I guess is my question.
For those tenants.
So you got to
Six
get all
there.
the leases,
Let-
they've been there for a while.
They've been there for a while, and let's put it in perspective. They're, and you'll attest to this because you know the tenant spaces are as well.
Okay.
They're renting approximately a quarter to a third of the space, maybe a third, would a third be fair? Okay, so I have other buildings, the power, sewer, the like, that are rentable, that represent potential income. And I'm not putting it on the table saying, look, here's the potential. That's not fair, but I think we have enough. This is fairly conservative. We went from 30 to 50. We took $1,000 a month. We have tenants, and we've got 2/3 of the place that can be rented, assuming we have the contacts to do that. And I get nothing until I get it back. I mean, at that point, I have a year. This is what it costs. We don't know any of these things. We have people that say, well, we'll kind of maybe do this, but we need to know what it costs. By the time we go down that road, I don't have a sewer system, and then we're done. So that's the story, and thank you.
You may not have a sewer system now if it's been down that long.
I've talked to DEP every week, and they're holding the letter of.
I mean, the operation, if it's been sitting there.
I've been told by DEP it's a working sewer system, and I've been told by the person for 30,000. He said, "Yeah, I can run this." It's old. Admittedly, it's old. If something breaks, as I said, I got 60,000 that I'm sitting there that becomes.
But if it's out of service for a couple of years, the old permit doesn't.
If it's out of service for a year, and same thing with the electric company, if we don't get the power back on by December.
New standards apply.
You also have an issue with the water tower, do you not? Don't you have a leaking water tower?
It leaks only on the fill, so I can fill the water tower and run 2 or 3 days. With the tenants we have now, I can run for a week. You know, someone has to turn it on, fill it, and close that valve. Again, I've got enough money to, if that's where you want my 60,000, it's yours. And if I need to fix a valve, and it's a valve, or we go to American Water and we say, listen, this place doesn't warrant a water tower anymore, bypass it. Just fill the water straight from the water line there, because there's water there.
There's city water there.
Yeah,
City water meters on the road.
yeah. So I can turn off the water tower. I can give it to American Water if they want it. I mean, that's a separate lot, in fact. If you say, we don't want the water tower, I'll say, fine, we'll fix it somehow. I'm pretty certain I can get the valve fixed for that.
You want to restate your motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that our attorney, Debbie, and Jim get together with Oldman's attorney and representatives from Oldman's Township to show the SCIA what they're looking from us exactly, what the liabilities are, and how much money that they might think that we have to provide. And that they're going to, explain how we're going to take it and then turn it back within 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that way we have all the facts and we can make it a solid decision. Then we know who's the tenants there, what their leases are, how much they're paying. Everything's going to be in writing so we can make a decision that's going to benefit the county.
And now,
For your cost.
How long do you think it would take to get a report for us on something like this?
I think this is, it's a very large undertaking.
Yes.
It's complicated, and it's going to take a long time to go through. I really do not care what they're asking for.
Right.
So you really need to know what the request is,
And their attorney probably would, you would say what you want and their attorney would give it to you, and then you would sit down and ask questions on it. How much time do you think that would take?
depending on what specifically they're asking, I think, because this is not a 1 hour meeting.
No,
for
I understand
sure.
that.
It's not only, what I could do is just have an initial meeting with Oldman Solicitor. and-
John Hoffman.
Right, and sit down, and just get initially a basic outline of some more specifics about what they want us to do.
Okay.
And then I can, so if you want to put a limit on it, if you want to limit it to 3 hours, then I'll come back and give you my impression of what the specific request is and the primary concerns. Initially, I can tell you, it sounds to me like a bad investment, but.
We're not in the investment business, though. We're in promoting the county and
Right,
protecting the.
right, but we're looking for what's in the best
Right.
interest of the county.
Yes.
And if you're able to do that, of course.
So I'll make my motion for 4 hours.
Is there a second?
I would second, what I'm really interested is any liability would come on us. I don't want to come assume something, all of a sudden we have $1 million, owe somebody $1 million or something like that.
You own it, you're gonna have a liability.
That's what we need to know exactly what kind of liability.
Well, the liability really depends on what the agreements are going to say between the parties, and drawing up the agreements between this board and Oldman's Township, it's going to be.
It's going to be in their ball court. Your attorney's going to do the work. We just gotta review it.
We can't trust our attorney.
No, of course he's going to review it. He's going to give it. They're going to give us the best shot, and we'll review it.
And the other thing, for simplicity here, why are we doing this? We're doing this partly for the college. College ends up with, hopefully, it's 88 acres, so hopefully 40 acres. They don't have to be in there right now. We just have two parties in this, so it's obviously cleaner. We'll lease it as long as you will feel comfortable leasing the two buildings that represent their solar power school, which is what that's where their $600,000 worth of grant money is. So as long as you can say, no, we'll lease it to you until we turn it back to Oldman's and they'll give you half of it or whatever. So I mean, it can be simpler from the standpoint of just you and John.
Have there been any discussions with the college?
Yes, they want the property. And they'd be willing to do a lot of the legal work. I don't know if it's smarter to have 2 players or 3. 3 typically gets more expensive than a third of the cost, I think, as far as bringing somebody else in. I think you would be able to perhaps learn that from John. But yeah, we have gotten a letter back from that same letter we wrote to people to say, please advise us of your interest. We got it the same day. We're interested.
They're interested?
Imagine that.
Get a meeting with them.
Oh, yeah, they're gonna get it for $1.
They're getting it for $1. I mean, I don't want that piece of the property. We're just giving them that half of it.
So we could exempt that. Water tower just scares the bejeebers out of me, okay? And the sewer plant.
And it actually turns out to be on a separate lot, the water tower.
It's on a separate lot.
But it's still part of the parcel, and we're still taking on the liability of that, and if we give half of it, or whatever that parcel is, to the community college, that's that much more that doesn't get developed, that's still, we have to then agree to be giving away this 1/3, for, I don't think public entities do well with development, I just don't. I don't think we have a great track record, certainly in Salem County. You know, we're very rural. We do well with agriculture, and honestly, we do really well with landfills. But, you know, as far as economic development and making a great deal of money on economic development, for as long as I've lived here, we've not. And it's very, very concerning to take on a project like this when I really don't think we have any more expertise than you and your solicitor does with this. And, you know, I certainly would give any expertise we have, you know, on how to go about, who to contact. But as far as owning it, I gotta tell you, I'm gonna be on the record that I am not gonna be in favor of taking over a project like this. I saw what happened with the nursing home. It has cost us all a lot of money.
My motion's for 4 hours.
I will second motion 4 hours, but I don't think we get enough information we need, but I will second that motion.
And then we can make an informed
Yes,
decision.
okay, we have a motion, or a second, you want to give a roll call on it?
Susan Bestwick.
No.
Ronald Howard.
Yeah,
Lou Schneider.
You talk to Matrix?
No.
I would,
Yes,
then there's nothing for the
make a
comments.
motion.
That's why.
No.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
New business. Resolution authorizing change order number 2 for the leachate. I guess the no-cost change order is for the extension of 59 days, calendar days. I'll take a motion.
Move to adopt.
For a second.
second.
Any question on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Me.
You? One no. Resolution determining positions eligible for defined contribution retirement program. That came out of the audit. But we didn't have that. And this takes care of it.
It specifically includes the part-time, current administrative assistants, future part-time scale master, and current part-time laborer within the plan.
So, okay.
Motion approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Hey, question.
Yes.
The defined benefits, you usually indicate who's eligible by length of service, okay, and a certain age they have to attain. So we didn't have that documented before? I'm confused by that.
In 2007, when the state created this defined contribution retirement plan as an alternative for the pension plans, we did not, as an organization, have anyone eligible for the defined contribution plan.
Well, you make your own, normally you make your own parameters.
No.
Well, no,
No,
they're
the state does.
standards.
This is
They're
the
state
state.
standards.
Okay.
This is a
Public
state
employees'
defined plan
retirements.
that they contracted with Prudential to do. There is a 5.5% contribution that the employee must make and a 3.5% that the employer must make to this plan, which is different than the pension. It's designed for those appointees or regular employees who are not eligible for pension. They're required to participate in this plan instead of the pension system.
Part-time mostly, right?
Mostly part-time.
Part-time.
The way that we hire, it's part-time.
This is the state changed when they were trying to make all of the revisions to the pension plan, and they made individuals not eligible, certain individuals weren't eligible. And this was like the balance to say, okay, you know, we'll go into, you know, a contributory type of
It's
situation.
no longer a defined benefit for
Yes.
pension on
Right.
these people. So we have a motion second, and then the discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Sick leave policy. This is resolution rescinding the Salem County Improvement Authority sick leave policy of 2011 and adopting sick leave policy 2014. It's covered in Ron's report. Worked on them for a while. It's down to a good now. Got a motion? Is there a second?
Oh, second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? name on it now. These bids just came in Tuesday, I guess. And they're just doing the bulldozer and the resolution awarding contract to furnish and deliver a new model year 2014 or newer John Deere model 850K or equivalent.
Motion approved.
What do they supply? The 850K?
50K.
Have a motion to approve?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Done the resolution settling the claim.
No, we didn't do it. We did
Put
it.
that on there. Okay, we have the resolution to settle the claim of SKG Realty LLC versus the Salem County Improvement Authority.
For,
Got the amounts on there?
right here.
For
$158,000.
$158,349.14.
Now, is that the mountains getting divided? Or what's the breakdown on that?
Breakdown, it would be 6,600 for the county, 151,000 for the improvement.
And that's Lancaster's figures. We have a motion,
Move to adopt?
second,
Second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion to hire seasonal. It's a motion to hire temporary seasonal employees. The correspondence you have has some names. These are seasonal, full-time seasonal.
Full-time seasonal.
Their motion.
Motion approved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to hire a special counsel. And, letter of May 7th revised. Has that one?
Mhm.
It's covering the absence of our attorney if necessary. The George Rosenberger is accepted,
Yes.
and it's up until the end of, only till the end of December 2014.
Yes, what I recommend is, I don't expect to take a leave of absence, but just in case I'm not able to appear for a meeting or respond to something that's emergent, I think it's makes sense just to appoint a special counsel, just in case that comes up. I do expect to be here for the June meeting, and then if not be here for the July meeting, I'll be back for the August meeting and preparation for the August meeting. So, this would be for George Rosenberger to cover the July meeting. And just in case something comes up, and rather than put a term in there that would be a maternity leave for me or a leave of absence, I just recommended that you might as well just, as long as you're making the appointment of special counsel, why not just let it be for the entire term of my contract, or at least until the end of the year? Just, that doesn't hurt.
Yes.
The fee involved with that? What's the fee on that? Same?
It would be the same fee.
All right.
And it wouldn't be a double fee.
No.
It would be only as, on an as-needed basis.
Is there anybody else in your law firm besides him?
There's no one else in my law firm. He's a separate.
Oh, he's separate?
Right.
Is there any other recommendations you have?
No, I really think he's an appropriate person because he has represented the authority in the past. He has significant experience. And he's just, I think, he's a
Yes,
good.
very appropriate.
I
Their
know
motion.
he was with him and it wasn't successful, so.
I'll make a motion that we have him as our special counsel.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I oppose.
No. Motion to hire scale master.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I do have one question. When's he available?
Any. So we'll probably start him at the next pay cycle, which I believe is 19th.
We're on correspondence. I have 9. Anything you want to point out is
Are we going to new business?
we are done with new
I
business.
just want one thing on new business. I'd like to meet with you, discuss a raise for Debbie. I mean, we just got the report of our audit. Any case job she's doing, just like to meet with you and come up with a raise that she hadn't received one for this year yet.
Yes,
Okay.
we'll meet sometime. Correspondence.
Mr. Chairman, the only thing I wanted just to point out is there is an application for the renewal of the Class D facility. There is no action required out of our solid waste amendment plan, solid waste management plan, but this is for the mulching operation that occurs over at our good friends from South Jersey Egg Products. Just to make sure.
And that's through ours or just approval through ours, through us?
It's approval through the
Just
state
been
to renew
notified.
it, we're just notified. And the other notation, interesting, if you get a chance to read the letter from the DEP about the interest rates for the Pleasure First Pleasure Plan, we had talked about that not long ago, that they had been working us to continue to compute a 5% interest rate. I think they finally got the message that 5% is not in reality, so they allowed us to adjust it for this year and next year down to 2%. So it can't be 2% of the same investment.
That's a whole lot better, Carl.
Yeah.
Any question about the correspondence? Does not have correspondence received and filed? Nothing received and filed. Okay, we're gonna go into public session. We'll take a motion to go into public session.
So moved.
For a second.
Second?
All in favor? Opposed? Public session. Any public comments? Yes,
I'll stand up. I sit down, I'll stand
turn
up.
around.
Turn,
No, isn't that cute? I want her to look at it.
yeah, we live in Alloway, so landfill's very important to us. Ann Sullivan, 124 Alley Woodstown Road. Mailing address is Woodstown, but I live right around the corner. And good luck with your program. Sounds like a lot of fun. Just as a member of ACE, they're now in your transition. They're being bought out by Exelon, so they're in play. So that's going to add a little kick to it. That should be kind of fun. But a question I have, I know you accept tires. I think I don't know whether they get charged or not. What is the source of your tire chips that you are placing in the
That's a good story.
landfill?
There are tires. Go ahead and read it. For every load of tires that go out, I get a load of tire chips back
Free.
Okay, so you send tires out.
for recycling. They get ground up.
Oh, so someone else grounds them up,
They go over to Delaware.
and do you pay for that?
Yes, we do, by the ton.
By the
It's
ton?
by contract.
We pay to have them all the
We pay
way.
to have them go out,
Coming back is free.
and the chips coming back are no charge.
Or no charge? And is there a level of, I was reading about, is there a level of they're not up to par, or they're not doing their job?
Who's that?
What I read, the tire chips are not doing everything they want, expected them to be.
No, it's,
They're
I think
wonderful.
we're looking to see how many we have so we can cover the bottom of them.
And we just
of
found
the-
out,
We
we have a shortfall, so I need to start having some come in. We put
There's an issue with quantity of tires.
Yes.
We
The bottom of the landfill is lined with it, so when the new landfill is starting up in,
So you need more.
Few
So I
months.
lost the bet. I thought we had enough in that amount. But it's only enough for about 2.5 acres. 5.
Yeah, that'll make a lot of
Found out
people
today.
happy.
What's that?
It'll make areas around here happy that have tires.
That's what I'm saying, it's an opportunity. Thank you.
It's only for the one load that goes out each month. We only have one load
Load.
pretty much that goes out each month, and that load will come back as
As
chips.
a-
It would be accepted for free.
Plus, we also
Oh.
don't want to continue that
Yeah, we
mountain
paid
because
him.
the inspector, the landfill inspector does not like that mountain of chips there.
Time to come back next year.
So
Won't be-
I'm hoping to get them all into stone mine, so, you know, is that cushioning there? We don't have to worry about
Wonder
mountain
that.
anymore.
Okay, question number 2, when and where is the audit available for the public? Same one, I'm the public. Is it going to be posted on the online
Should be on the website.
The audit will be posted online after it's sent to the state.
after it's sent to the state?
And, before our next meeting.
Okay.
So is it, what did I say, it has to, I'm reading someplace, you review it and you accept it, and then it gets sent to the state, so plus or minus.
It'll be on the website within the month.
Within the- I think that's it, thank you very much. Oh, post-community benefits, any progress?
No, I haven't, I spoke with the mayor and, I don't think there's a whole lot of action going on. I don't see anything new happening. Nothing new.
Nothing new. Thank you.
Any other public comments?
Last night, at our workshop meeting, the DEP came in, and it was a nice visit, and it was a scheduled visit. And she wanted to just introduce herself before anything happened, or it was for no reason, it was just to introduce herself and let us know that if we did have a problem or concern, she would be the one to contact. So I thought that was really good PR and good government relations.
Where's she?
Yeah.
Oh, her name was Carl, she gave me her card, but I don't have it with me, and I'm sorry.
Her name's Carol?
Carol.
Okay, that's good. Carol P.
Yeah. But I just thought that was good. The commissioner wants her to go around to the 21 counties and visit the freeholder boards, just so they could put a name to a face, or a face to a name, so.
John?
Maybe different than City Van Dental?
No,
City-
it
City,
was that,
that's what
that's who it
Right.
was, yep.
Just as an
Really
FYI,
nice.
I had recently brought a bunch of
Thank you,
TVs,
Kevin.
electronics down here, and just wanted to see how it would work. I came to the scale, and they said, okay, what do you have? I said, TVs, great, go on in, unload them, and you go back out your way. Doesn't cost you anything to get rid of that. It was pretty painless. It was absolutely painless. You had to unload it yourself, but that's all right. And you set it by the building. Do they get put away at night, all that electronics, or just sits out by the building? How's that work? Do you know?
Usually the next working, is that Saturday?
Yes,
It'll be put away on Monday.
okay. It
Because
was
in
a
the containers.
pretty painless experience.
You have not been-
Thank
Bill.
you.
You have a problem going over
Thank
the
you,
scales?
Pretty painless, huh?
You have a problem going over the scales or anything?
No, I went in and they were even coming back out, so they know how much went in there, obviously, but.
Any other public comment? Motion to close public?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Executive session, we have executive session.